Oh, hello there. Yes, well, it's not wildly warm. Still can't get over that. Yeah, the sun's out, which is kind of cool, I guess, but we might actually get some today. Anyway, so many things we could talk about today. We could talk about trans issues and the delights of Wes Streetling, who, even though he has a majority of 560 in his constituency, seems determined to hack people off. Yes, he's going to insist that the ex-government's ban on puberty blockers for certain people has to be in place. And even though there's no medical reason for that, of course, but he's going to insist about that. Good man. 560. I think it's 564 to be precise. So bear that in mind at the next election. Anyway, moving on, I'm going to talk about education today because, after all, I am a teacher. And my eye inevitably was drawn to this in the Daily Telegraph. Well, actually, I was drawn to it by a piece in The Spectator where it was saying about dreadful things in the national curriculum, and I should read the whole piece, it said. So, of course, on your behalf, I have. It's British Empire must be presented like Nazi Germany. Curriculum guidelines insist. Yeah, we'll unpack that word insist in just a moment. School support organisation The Key provides guidance and resources to teachers across the UK on how to make history curricula anti-racist. Yes, insist. Guidance, yes. Okay then. Right, so let's dive into that, shall we, and see exactly what we've got here. The national curriculum should be taught, should insist, to pupils like Nazi Germany. Curriculum guidelines state, insist, state, yeah, we're not quite insist yet, but anyway, the government guidance created by school support organisation The Key and offered to teachers across the country provides tips on how to make the history curriculum anti-racist. Yes, insist, offered, and tips. Yeah, still not quite insist, is it? Anyway, teachers are advised, still not insist, anyway, to present the British Empire to secondary pupils like Nazi Germany as a power that committed atrocities. Pupils should also not be taught about the balance of good and bad aspects of empire. The guidance states, not insists. The anti-racist curriculum review guidance was created by The Key, which began as a government pilot and now provides teaching resources to more than 100,000 school leaders. Yes. Now, I did have to smile at the 100,000 school leaders. There are roughly 32,000 schools in the UK. So it's a bulletin that goes out offering some materials. Now, I've been on their website, so you don't have to, and it's guidance to head teachers generically about making the entire curriculum anti-racist. So it doesn't insist about anything, and it's making suggestions because schools can make up their own minds about things. It's getting very, very hot under the collar. But you will notice here, there is no way that I can look at the original document. Somebody somewhere has gone through this, and a bit like James Esses with his brilliant I'm unemployable, nothing to do during the day School of Journalism, has found a few things that are vaguely ambiguous and have decided to go for it. In the article they have the usual kind of ring up people to be annoyed about things that always think that the empire is great. Now, you might find that odd that we would make comparisons between the British Empire and Nazi Germany. Okay, that's fine, but we do that, I think, all the time about all sorts of different things. And you will notice, indeed, that an awful lot of people that argue that children should be taught to weigh things up are now getting cross that children aren't being taught to weigh things up or something. Anyway, I'm really confused about that. The more I think about it, the more confused I get. But let's not worry about that. After all, it's the Daily Telegraph, so it must be true. Yes. So what does the actual, curriculum guidance state or insist, one might say? Well, let's have a look at it. This is from the government. I know it's the last government, but it's still the government. At secondary level, it must cover how stereotypes, in particular stereotypes based on sex, gender, race, religion, sexual orientation or disability, can cause damage, e.g. how they might normalise non-consensual behaviour or encourage prejudice. Yes, that's the framework that I, as a teacher, have to work within, okay? So whenever I'm teaching history, I have to bear that in mind, okay? Not what the Daily Telegraph wants me to teach, not what some spurious ex-Cambridge history professor wants me to teach, but actually what the government says. Because, I'm a professional because I'm an actually good qualified teacher and that's what I have to do. Sorry, but no. So in other words, we've had something that's gone out making some suggestions as to how to teach the empire in an anti-racist way, which is a legal requirement which they don't like. Okay then, never mind. Why don't you back somebody like that nice Mr. Farage, and when he gets into power, you can change it. For now, it's nothing. Okay? Right, thank you for that. Right, and moving on to schools, we have the inevitable, in the same issue of the Telegraph, Annabel Denham article. Annabel Denham is a Tufton Street lass, so she's all that full of IEA energy. Yeah, she has her own set of priorities. And this is another one of these articles whereby there is no attempt here at any rational basis of dealing with facts, okay? We are being far too soft on incompetent teachers and the militant unions that indulge them. Yeah, my union apparently indulges me. Yeah, I mean, they just came round earlier, actually, with a cake, which was nice, let's face it. Really indulgent, yes. Now, you will hear this all over the place, okay? People will say, oh, it's impossible to sack teachers. No, it isn't, okay? The last actual school I worked in for about 10 years, 2 teachers there were sacked for very gross things that they did. Okay, I know from a first-hand experience that in that particular school, because it was a special needs school, if you did anything mildly wrong, you would be marching very quickly, and the chances of you being out of a job were reasonably high as well. It was a perpetual sword of Damocles. But that's just me knowing things, okay? Not like Annabel, because she knows things. Right, for all the evidence of the damage wrought by lockdown on children, their needs are still being deprioritised in favour of spoiled adults. Yeah, like me, I'm spoiled, okay? And she goes on to sort of suggest that that unions like go on strike at the drop of a hat and are never cooperative with government and just whinge all the time. And yeah, okay, there are teacher shortages, but it's probably because the unions are so bad, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, there's a link down below. You can read this stuff for yourself. I don't want to go into it in any depth, but it's just that classic thing about bashing people simply for the sake of it, for an ideological reason, right? The IEA and Annabel, bless her, right, okay, simply don't like the idea of organised workers because it means that they have to pay more. And those important tax dollars, right, okay, cannot therefore be given to their mates as you know, incentives to invest in British industry, which they never do. No. So me, being a professional teacher, which she dislikes, by the way, she dislikes the idea that someone like me is qualified and, you know, therefore good at my job to stand in front of children and know what I'm doing. She dislikes that because I'm expensive. And at the same time, the fact that I am that, and I've had to basically put up with a Conservative government which has impoverished me over the years, and no, Annabel, like an awful lot of teachers, I won't be getting a gold-plated pension. That's another lie you managed to come out with. Yes, it's all my fault that children now have been suffering because of the COVID lockdown. Apparently, the COVID lockdown, the fault of that was the teaching unions. There you go. Anyway, ooh, rant over with that one. They make me cross, these people, okay? But simply because it's lazy journalism, all right, okay? There are about 8 or 9 different things that she states categorically in that piece that are patently untrue. The usual one is, well, teachers just go on strike at the drop of a hat. Well, I've been a teacher for over 20 years, and the total number of times I've been on strike, let me have a look now. None. Okay? Because I'm a special needs teacher and we basically, given the work that I do, we don't do that. And even if you don't count me, if you just count regular teachers, the total number of times in the last 20 years that teachers have been on strike, in essence, is twice. Okay? So there is a really good chance, if you're a child, that you may have, at once in your entire school career, have had a couple of days disruption because the teachers have been on strike. Okay? If you want to blame the state of the British economy on 2 days, that's fine. But I might, as a rational adult, suggest that it was more to do with the people in charge. You know, the actual people in charge. You know, the ones that Annabel doesn't want to talk about. Her mates. The ones that she was most insistent, you know, had to be in charge, and she will still do so, of course. Now, I'm glad to be an enemy of people like Annabelle, because one of us is a rational human being, and one of us is simply an ideologue. And oddly, the ideologue isn't me. No. Anyway, do have a lovely Sunday if you can do. Probably going to talk more about transphobia next week. Probably. I don't know. We'll see. See how the day goes. Events, dear boy. Events.